Hi, and welcome to the Meet Your City program at the Turner Dodge House. This afternoon we have a guest who's going to speak to us about the county courthouse. And this is a really interesting connection with the Turner House, which we kind of started researching when Randy said he was going to come and speak. It turns out that Frank Dodge was very instrumental in the building of the county courthouse. He served on the planning committee, and he also wrote the contracts for the planning, for the courthouse itself, and helped establish how the project would be gone about. And so, when we were doing our research, we found that the people of Mason were very, very grateful for the work that he had done. So we assume it must have been quite a lot. And they got together when they heard he was coming to Mason, and they raised money very quickly from the people on Main Street in the business community, and they bought him a gold cane. So when he came that evening, they had a party for him, and they gave him the cane. And in return, it said in the newspaper, he said, well, very modestly, that he didn't do everything that they described, that there was a whole committee that did it. So it seems like it's just like this kind of response and interactions that we have today. The county courthouse is going to be celebrating its 200th anniversary on May 7th. Next year, so put that on your calendar right now, and Randy will tell you more. Our speaker is Randy Gladstone. He's a well-known photographer in this area, and also a collector of old photographs, which he's going to put to our benefit today. And Randy is also on the county, Ingham County Historical Commission, and on the Mason Historical Commission, and on quite and a member of many of the local societies in this area. So he's a good interactor and kind of connector of the different historical societies. And we are looking forward to his program today. And then while you're writing things on your calendar, write on the holiday open house for the Turner Dodge House, which will be December 4th through the 19th on Wednesday through Sunday from 1 to 4. We'll have a tea by the friends from 1 to 3 on Saturdays and Sundays, and musical performances. It'll be a great time to come over and visit the Turner Dodge House. So at this point, I'm going to let you go ahead, Randy, and tell us about the county courthouse.
Thank you, Liz. Thank you, everybody, for inviting us out today. I'm going to be giving you a demonstration or a program on the Ingham County Historic Commission and what we're all about. And we're going to show you a few photographs of the opening of the cornerstone. So with that, we'll get started. Okay, here's what we do. The Ingham County Historical Commission is appointed by the Board of Commissioners. The Historical Commission studies and advises the board with respect on all matters pertaining to history, arts, as a liaison of the historical matters between the board and other organizations and persons. To keep records of all the proceedings and actions and report back to the board in writing at least annually of its activities and recommendations. We serve as a committee. We develop, promote, conduct, and participate in historical projects, programs, activities, and services. And we provide courthouse tours, and we have also displays of county artifacts, so a museum on the first level that we take care of. We also do the Ingham County Historical Marker Program. We were established in 1975, and the marker program started at that time too, to identify and designate historical properties in Ingham County. Historical, of course, you can see the historical markers benefit the communities in the entire county by sparking further interest in local history. We have more than 25 sites that have been marked, and here is an example of one of the plaques. They're a green, Sparty green, and they're very beautiful. The first courthouse in Ingham County was built in 1843. The town of Ingham was the first location of the county proceedings, which was 3 miles east of Mason on Columbia. and then it moved into the Mason area. Mason had a bigger city, and we built the courthouse. It was a wooden structure which still exists today. Back in this area on the top you'll see a fence. Well, this fence was to keep the jail. The back here is the Ingham County Jail. So that was the jail, and the back was the fence to keep the prisoners from escaping. The second courthouse, built in 1858, was made out of brick. It's a beautiful courthouse, a much larger courthouse than the first courthouse. This courthouse was on the south side of Ash Street, on this courthouse square. This second courthouse was where the third courthouse is today, in the center of the County Square in downtown Mason. Here you see the laying of the cornerstone of the third courthouse, started in 1902, 1903. Here in 1903 we have the dedication of the cornerstone. This cornerstone is right here. In the corner, of course, is the same block here. And in the back here, you'll see members of a band just performing different patriotic songs. The location of the house that we discovered is right on the top corner right here. For many years, we thought that this whole stone had to be removed, and this photograph proved that the corner stone was laid before the ceremony, so the box must be on top. This stone was made in Vermont, and it weighs 4 tons. It's the largest cornerstone that the Vermont company had produced at that point in time. It was brought over on their Newark Central Railroad car and brought by wagon up here to the corner and dismantled and placed in point. Right here you'll see these hoists. These were to lift the stone up or to keep it in place while everything was disassembled. Here you'll see the dedication. The dedication happened 3 years later, 2 years later, I'm sorry, in May of 1905. Here you'll see the cornerstone is in this particular area here. Here is a horse trough. We've just restored this. The County Commission, Historic Commission has just restored this and put it back in place. It now is off in this corner here. This is to let you know that we're having a celebration of this particular building on May 7th, 2005. Ingham got its name from Mr. Samuel D. Ingham. The Act of 1929, the territorial legislature created Ingham County. They called it Cabinet County. It bears the name of Samuel D. Ingham, who was the Secretary of the Treasury under Andrew Jackson. If you notice, a lot of the southern counties are named after Mr. Jackson's cabinet. You have Jackson County, and it's all to try to promote Michigan and the Toledo War Strip. We were really anxious to get that parcel and to become a state. And as you well know, we gave up that strip, that port, that valuable port there, and we got the Upper Peninsula. But we are named for Mr. Ingham. Here you'll see the different townships and when they were approved and organized. Stockbridge was the first, and it was actually called Stockbridge, Michigan Territory, because you see the date of March 26th of 36. It was almost a year before we actually became a state. And here you see Aurelius and Ingham, Leslie, and on down. These are the different townships. Here's one of our treasures that we have. It's a topographical map in 1859. It has both Ingham and Livingston counties on the map. The map is quite large. It's actually a wall map, and it's a fairly good size. I can't imagine unrolling this, and you must have had a huge living room floor to see this map, because it's so large, and the print is so small. But there were close to 1,000 of these maps printed, and they were a cost of $5 a piece, and $1 a day was quite common to make during the day. So as you can see, it was quite expensive, almost a week's worth of wages. Here you have a key map of the map, the schools, the abbreviations for each, and down here, these are interesting, is the marsh and the swamps and woodlands down here. Here's an example of a township. This is Meridian Township. You see the stream going through here, and here is the town of Okemos here in the center, and the most bigger is the Sanford post office located there. And it's interesting to see the different trees, and of course up in here we have Pine Lake, and does everybody know what Pine Lake is called today?
Lake Lansing.
Lake Lansing, that's correct. Lake Lansing today. And of course we know that there was lots of activities at Lake Lansing or Pine Lake, carousels, and lots of entertainment. And here we have the Lansing Township in 1859. And you can see it's quite small. It's not very large at all. And here we have the Capitol Square here, built there, because you can see it's empty. Farmer's map of 1856 shows the county of Ingham, and you see some very interesting names here. For instance, you see the town of Jefferson, which was really a hamlet, but look how big the name is. Quite large, and that they were one of the towns that wanted to become the capital city. Mason was a town, and of course Ingham too, but of course we all know where it ended up, right up in the corner there. Here's the Colton's map of 1870 showing Ingham County in different colors, the different townships. You can see the rail system in 1870 and what it looked like, coming from Jackson through Leslie right on up into Lansing. Of course, we have the Saginaw branches up in there and whatnot. You have Phelpstown over here, which is interesting, and Locke, White Oak. Oops, wrong button. Biddle City. This is the name of Lansing, the very first name of Lansing, Biddle City. This is a plat map, a rare plat map of the future Lansing, Michigan. And it's quite interesting to see the different lots that were laid out in hopes to become a prosperous city. Happy days. Doesn't that look like fun? Don't you just want to be whistling with this guy going down the road? Here we have a rare postmark from the town of Alden in December of, well, the post office existed from 38 to 51. Here we have a rare postmark from the town of Bunker Hill. Poxon was a blacksmith at Bunker Hill, and he had, the whole half of the letter, the envelope is pretty much his advertisement. Here's one from the town of Ingham, in the Ingham post office, only lasted 20 years. Dansville, this is the 1859 map of Dansville along with the postal record up above. The the RFD, does anybody know what that would stand for? Rural Free Delivery, that's right. Rural Free Delivery started at the beginning of the century, and it made it very convenient. Instead of going into town to get your mail, it was brought out to you. The town of Dansville is quite interesting. You see the different manufacturers, of course, carriage and wagon, engineers, blacksmiths, lumbermen, and hotels. Hotels were very important in smaller towns because they couldn't get around as fast as we do today with the cars. You had to pretty much, if you didn't want to go in the middle of the night, and you would have to stay at the closest town. And coaches, railroad stagecoaches were very common. Dansville had a stage running through itself. Here is the town of Delhi Center, and a rare Delhi Center envelope with the 1854 on it. Of course, we know what Delhi Center turned into. It turned into Holt's. Here's a nice shot of Holt. We have the farmer with his milk containers out front of. This is the meat market there. And down below you see the wonderful shot of Holt. And of course the highway 127 went right through Holt. Made it very prosperous. Can anybody tell me what this item is in the middle there? Streetcar, that's right. It's an electric car that went, well, generally went from Jackson to Lansing, but it did branch off and go to different cities from those particular cities. The automobile, the famous, what's the famous automobile that was built in Lansing? That pretty much killed this. That killed this particular idea. It was a good idea for transit, except when the automobile came around, everyone wanted to go places, and this would only take them to certain places. But it was most convenient for other folks. Here we have the Ag and Dairy Labs for MSU. Wonderful shots, and I think they're still around today. Great shot of the entertainment, the canoers going up and down the Red Cedar River in East Lansing. Whoops. Ah, look at here. Stock judging. Look at these judges. Oh, they're judging the pigs, and then of course we have the MAC. What's the MAC stand for? Does anybody know?
Michigan Agricultural College.
Michigan Agricultural College, that's right. And this was their baseball team in 1909. Probably can get some identification on those. Here's the Pine Lake or Lake Lansing facility. Is a wonderful postmark up in the corner here. 1882, very beautiful. And then down here, look at what we got going down here. We've got a popcorn vendor here, a little boy. Boy, wouldn't you just, want to buy popcorn from him? And then, of course, you go through the gates and there's carousel rides and roller coasters. And matter of fact, I think I even rode on the roller coaster at Lake Lansing in my age. It still was there. Quite an event. Of course, it looks like these look like rails. The rails it might have went right up. But an interesting fact, my grandfather, Roy Gladstone, was one of the balloonists that used to perform at Lake Lansing or Pine Lake. And he would do different trapeze acts on the balloon and then parachute down. Back then they were actually hot air balloons. There was no tanks. You heated them up with fire underneath, and then they went up, and not knowing where they would come down would be kind of a scary thing, but I don't know if I could do it. Here, look at here, we got that beautiful steamer. Isn't that just a beautiful thing? There's two of them, it looks like. This looks like the fancier one up above. And then of course we have the Iser Clubhouse. Wonderful photograph of that. And back here is where the boats would be parked, and the fireplace. Well, they had to haul out wood all the way out to the middle of the lake. And I think this must have been a very prominent clubhouse for many yachters. Oh my, look at here, the Hazlitt Meat Market of Al's house. You can see, of course, today all of our meat is in the freezer, but boy, look at today. For the photograph, he's got all the goods out. The best of the meats, the best of the best. We have the sausage links in the back, and that burger here, and the boy looking on, and the chops, and all the things going on there, and the telephone in the back, and the string up in here, and look over here, there's an oil lamp hanging up there. Today, we wouldn't think this was too healthy, but for photographs, they even would go out in the street in front of their stores and lay out this meat after meat hanging from the rails. The town of Michigan, this was the second name of Lansing. This is an interesting map that actually shows the town of Michigan right here located in the middle. And this is a rare postmark. Michigan, Michigan was the name. Not very long. As you can see, it was only 1 year. It wasn't long at all. Can anybody tell me what this building here might be?
Isn't that the first floor?
That's
Capital,
that's the Capitol. Does it? Can anybody tell me where the first Capitol was located?
You mean here in Lansing?
It's kind of a trick question.
Yeah, the
Well,
first
first it was
capital was in
Detroit.
Detroit.
That's right.
Oh.
The first Capitol was located in Detroit. This is the second Capitol, and it was moved and built in 1848. And then, of course, we know today the beautiful third Capitol. So this is a very nice view of both second and third Capitols. Here's the town of Lansing in 1859. Let's see if we can get this to become larger here for you guys. That's as large as we can get it. So we see here, this is 59, and we know that the Capitol is here, right? Because it wasn't quite moved here yet. So we have the temporary Capitol here, and then we have the state offices. This little tiny thing right there is the state offices located in the Capitol Square. Wonderful shot. Has anybody's ever seen this before on a wall map? It's really interesting. It looks good when it's this large too. On the wall map, it's a little smaller.
Now you call it the Capitol Square, but didn't they call it Church Square because the churches were?
Or around the square. That's right. That was another name for it. This is a bird's eye view shot by Charles Meade. Isn't this just wonderful? The exposure of the camera was so slow that it actually caught the movement of the trees moving underneath. But great shot of the way the river in life was like back in 1879. Here's a view of Washington looking north from Michigan, 1879. Not too many people in the picture. Why don't you think there were too many people in the picture? Can anybody tell me? Probably wasn't as many people?
Early morning.
Early morning maybe? Well, let me...
Camera technology too.
Camera technology, that's exactly right. We notice that the horses are blurry over here. And this horse is not so blurry, but this one is too. The reason you don't see very many people is because you actually had to stay at one particular spot for a certain amount of time that your body could be exposed. Quite often these older photographs, especially on cloudy days, they had to have a longer exposure. My gosh, if the people didn't stay in the one spot, they would disappear. There would be no people in the picture. Some older photos, you just see maybe a shoe shiner and a person sitting in a chair. All the rest, and it was taken in the middle of a busy day.
So the driver of that wagon on the left, the state, was he had this car
Yeah.
parked there.
Yeah,
You
they-
actually can see him. That's
Yeah. See, these two guys are talking out in front of the insurance company. You know, these guys are busy. And back here we have the big old boot for the boots and shoes. That was very popular. And the bank over here. Look at this wonderful shot. Here we have the streetcar coming up through the middle of Washington, and this wonderful welcome sign. Boy, when electricity was in its heyday, lights would light up, and this of course said welcome on both sides. And of course you can see people here today. We got cars and horses in the pictures. Look at here. Boy, has technology come a long ways in 100 years. Isn't that amazing? They're all up on blocks there, and you can see the different, just the assembly line, all the manufacturing and parts displays are all in the back. That's a wonderful photograph. These are part of Craig Whitford's collection. He's the chairman of our commission. Here we have the Pruden Road being paved from Lansing to Mac, and look at the crew of men that it took to do the paving on the horses right along the railroad tracks. Oh, here's an interesting shot of the Western Auto Supply Company in 1929 on North Washington Ave. We've got everything in this store. And today, you know, if your car, it starts to make you take it in. You know, back then, your car, if you made it to 20, 30 miles, okay, you were doing good. And so you needed everything from big fat cushions to sit on over here to the white the tires along there, and you had parts all along there. So you pretty much could work on your old car. Of course, I imagine everyone here remembers working on their cars. Today it's a little more difficult, but here you could buy every kind of part necessary. Here's a wonderful shot of Jimmy Ward and his Curtiss biplane called the Shooting Star. It landed in the fairground, the racetrack, and boy, look at the turnout. Look at the people all the way around to see him come in. And it was quite early. Down here it says 1911. That's not too many years after 1904. 7 years after flight. Wonderful shot. Look at that. Isn't that amazing? Go and get your tickets, and there you go. Great shot of the airport. Here's the town of Leslie in 1859. We have all sorts of people working in dry goods and millinery and miscellaneous stuff. The hotels, of course, the attorneys, and right down through the main strip of Leslie. Wonderful shot of the downtown Leslie. You notice in this photograph how the road is curved a little bit, and that's for the drainage of water. And here you can see just a little bit of stone. Quite often these were paved or had stone in here so that the runoff would run off and the girls wouldn't get their shoes and dresses dirty.
Isn't that a boardwalk?
Yes, it is. You're right. There's a boardwalk that go across the streets too. And it's quite common to have street sprayers come through town. And the street sprayers made quite good money. They made $1.50 a week to spray one section in front of your store. Now, if I was your neighbor and you always sprayed your street, and I decided I wasn't going to spray my street this week, and the kids would race up and down with their horses, and the wagons would go by, and the dust would fly in your store, you would come and pretty much be barking at me to pay that $1.50. And so you know that this street sprayer got paid each place $1.50, and he made quite a bit of money doing it. Here is a very rare postmark that was just purchased last year of the town of Mason Center. This was the town of Mason, the first name of Mason. And these were hand canceled. Here's a statement of the county votes. We know a little bit of something about voting, don't we? Being November 4th, 2004. And here's all the votes and how they all ended up right here in the tally at the bottom. And this was in 1843. That's quite a long time ago. This is the city of Mason in the Mason district here. We see these things look like caterpillars here. Isn't that odd? That is the esker, or the hogsback, and if you notice today, there's a lot of gravel companies in Mason, and they remove those eskers and have prospered from the gravel that's come out of those. And here we have, of course, the county courthouse located in the middle. It was only 11 years old, and the original one was located right here. Here is a wonderful shot of the train coming in from Lansing, direction of Lansing into Mason, and we see the flagman. The flagman had a really important job of stopping the cars. There were quite a few accidents with cars coming through, and trains arrived quite often, very frequently. Here we have the lumber yard, and back in here is the depot, which is now the Mason Depot restaurant you can visit. Here's one of those hot air balloons up the top that my grandfather had took a ride in. It was quite an event to have the county parades and GAR parades and Memorial Day and all sorts of events in Mason, and this was one of those events. This was a GAR, a Booster Day parade, I should say, and they decorated the cars up and down the town of Lansing. And back here is their standpipe, this water tower that supplied in 1898 with water. Very rare postmark of the town of Moravian, Michigan. It was only in existence 4 years at the most. As you can see, these were letters that were actually folded, and you can see the beautiful penmanship that had leaked through on these old letters. Here's a great shot of Meridian and sugar beets going out in town. What do you think they're waiting for?
Train.
The train. That's right. Right here is the railroad tracks. See this post right here, and they're all waiting for the train to be loaded on. Of course, they had all big payloaders and stuff to take it right off the wagons, didn't they? Well, they did. They all had to do it by hand, and I imagine that the first ones up here got in early because they didn't want to have to wait very long. Over here we have the Doty House Hotel.
So where's Meridian now? Does it still exist?
It's part of Okemos, isn't it? I think so.
Is it actually? I mean, are there buildings there? This isn't like near Hamilton and Okemos Road or anything like that.
We've got a map of Meridian Township. We can go back to that. That's a good point. Where these buildings are still in existence or not. Quite often, the wooden buildings didn't last long in these smaller towns with fire. But
Do you think they changed the railroad tracks and what they are?
well,
now?
this has got to be going right to Lansing. So this is, I would assume. Well, it's hard to tell from this photo if it's looking east or west, but I would assume that this is east over this way. And so this is the railroad tracks going through. Where they go through today would be.
Well, there's see that's right now on Okemos Road. The tracks sort of diverge there. There's one that's down there where Mr. White used to have his violin repair shop down there. Just near where the old Okemos Bar and Theater used to be near where Delta Dental is. There's one track there.
Oh, yeah.
And there's one that verges up. Once it verges from the crosses the Red Cedar River and it goes up towards Hazlitt. I mean, it doesn't actually go. That one line goes up towards Hazlitt right after goes through that underpass, crosses under Grand River Avenue and ends up in sort of a northeasterly direction.
Yeah, that's true.
And the other one goes more southeast.
South of it, yeah.
And goes. But there's no railroad tracks right through the center of Okemos today.
No. If they've moved those. If we get a second later on, we can go back even after the tape. We can go back and take a look at that to find out where exactly that was located in Meridian Township. Here we have Onondaga in 1855. Wonderful post hand canceled. Script mark there, and then of course a beautiful patriotic Civil War envelope with the banner "The Union Forever" on it during the Civil War, and a nice poem at the bottom. Here we go. This is 1859 though. So we see Pine Lake Street going out there. So it must in Sanford we know is over in this area. But in Okemos we have the cabinet makers, the inns, the merchants, and carpenters located around the river. You see something?
The big plot of land there.
Who's that right there? Does anybody know who that might be?
There's our terminus.
Yeah.
On Pine Lake Road.
Looks like he's got a house right there.
Looks like he's got some land there too.
Yeah.
That wasn't being plotted.
So this is a cabinet maker. On the key.
Is that what it said?
On the key.
It said he was a cabinet maker. Well, that's interesting. Here we have a shot of the Red Cedar River, a beautiful shot with the bridges going across, and then the Baptist Church in Okemos. Red Bridge.
Hmm.
Yeah. Now, Mr. Whitford didn't put on here where this is located. Trying to get an idea of the map, but it's hard to see. But Red Bridge post office it was in existence for quite a while, a lot longer than most.
There's a state marker there yet.
It was there. Right, 62 was when this envelope was mailed out from Red Bridge. Sanford, here's that close-up map of Sanford.
And that, the post office would have been located just across the river from Okemos then.
You know? It's kind of confusing where actually it was located. And usually right where the PO is where the city was located. And this is interesting here. Is this the railroad?
Huh. And the railroad seems to go right through the center. That's the equivalent of Hamilton Road there. It goes right along what is now Hamilton Road, I suppose, there.
Oh yeah, there's a toll house right up here.
Yeah, that's the toll house that moved, I suppose.
To Meridian Village.
Yeah.
That's the one we moved.
Yeah. Stockbridge, 1848, a letter from Beebe. Beebe was one of the first pioneers in Ingham County. Started up through Stockbridge, and he has a wonderful diary that's up at the state archives that explains the towns that he went through and the wilderness that he went through. Some wonderful advertisements from Stockbridge. We have a dental surgery. And quite often dentists were barbers. Here we have a very interesting New Year's ball from the Hoygs Hall in Stockbridge in 1874. He lists the floor managers and the music provided by, but look at the bill, $2 in 1874. That was a pretty good party. You know, when you didn't get paid very much, that was worth a little bit of money, a little fun. Here we have, this is looking west from the Four Corners in Stockbridge, and here we have the Glacier Gay Bank here, and going out of town. Dirt roads. Here we have a check for the commercial bank that's right here for $6,000 in 1901. It's made out to George Glazier. What we got down here? George Glazier and Gay. Made himself out a nice check for something there. Probably well deserved. No.
So.
Here we have a shot looking the opposite direction. Actually, we're standing in the same position, except we just turned around and photographed the other side. Here's a hotel, a fancy hotel. Of course, every town had to have one. Wonderful shot of the Grand Trunk Depot in Stockbridge, not too large. And then here we have the elevator, very large. Town of Weberville, we have J.R. Dart and the railroad bridge and timbers. Very neat, 1881 postmark of Weberville. Williamston, town of Williamston. We have the grocers and hotel keepers and physicians in town. And of course, we think this might, I don't know if that's a sign of paved roads in there or not. Of course, we know, I have an idea what that might be. What do you think that might be? What was going through there in 1859? The Plank Road.
Plank Road, okay,
Oh,
Plank Road.
There you go. And that was a way to advertise their Plank Road,
Wow.
And Turners were very, very prominent.
to help the Plank Road. Yeah, that was such a convenient thing for the muddy days of, look at the Williamston in the 1900s.
So that became Grand River Avenue then, later on.
It sure did. Yes, it did. And this is the website that you can get more information on the artifacts and things that could come out of the courthouse, Cornerstone, and other. We have the Pioneer, Frank Adams Pioneer book online, 1923 of Ingham County. It's quite thick, 8,000 pages have been scanned and put online, PDF format for people to see. You can get forms for your historical landmarks too. Okay. Now let's show you. Just what do we have? About 10 more minutes. Is that about right for the video? Let me show you. Oops, the wrong one here. Let me show you a little bit about the cornerstone dedication here. Here we have a view. This happened on October 26th at 6 p.m. And here we have a good turnout, a large group of people, kids and all. And now here are our commissioners and prominent people, the reverends and mayors of different cities. Here we have another shot of the crowd to show the kids. These are the Masons. We have the Masons from Mason Lodge, I think it's number 70, have performed the actual dedication of the cornerstone in 1903. And the lodge is still in existence today, and they were back that past month to receive the cornerstone box from the cornerstone. We have Ivan Kerr, who's the master, and Ted Hall, who is on the board of Michigan Masonics. Here, over in this corner, are the workmen being ready to do the cornerstone itself. Wow, they found a spot. They couldn't see. There was quite a few people. They were on them. Here we go. We're just about ready to remove the stone above the cornerstone. Schiffer Mason were the masons to remove the stonework and cut it out. Here we're digging out the box. And there is the box. It was a copper box that had been tinned, and fortunately that helped out the contents. There is Mr. Kerr from the Masons. Here we see the gentleman removing or looking at the beading along the box. We have Mr. Whitford down with the glasses looking at it. He's the chairman of the Ingham County Historic Commission. I think president of the Greater Lansing Historical Commission also. And lots of kids. Look at the kids. Isn't that wonderful to see the kids gathering around? The crowd got a little bigger. Once the box got out, people were gathered around. We figured we had 300 programs, and we ran out, and we have, I think there was about 400 there. Perhaps you see yourself in one of the photographs. There's the cracking, the very opening, the 100-year-old air coming out of there. There's Mr. Whitford. Craig had to fight his way to the podium with all of the kids looking on, and down here we have the contents being looked at. He was explaining that we're going to be going back into the courthouse. We had refreshments inside for the public, quite not enough refreshments, so we weren't expecting this size crowd. We were very pleased that this many people came out.
That was David Voda.
Yes, David, that's right, David Voda.
Capital Area District Library, and he's the local history.
Yep, he's the archivist at in the room now. That's right, David Voda. Here we have the papers look in very good condition. If you've ever opened time capsules, you pretty much have to keep your fingers crossed. They could either be mushy or they could be just like powder inside. And fortunately, this box being tinned and being located in the corner of the building, there was a layer of plaster on top, preserved the the papers quite well. And also the box being filled to the top. The air there wasn't enough air in there to deteriorate a lot of the artifacts. Here we are in the second floor of the courthouse, looking down upon the items. Here they're explaining each of the items coming out. Most of the top of the were newspapers of that particular day or week.
And a lot of the different towns in Ingham County had their own newspapers in those days then, I guess.
Yes, they did. Yes, they did. Matter of fact, Mason had Ingham County News and the Ingham County Democrat. So one was Republican and one was a Democrat, so which was very interesting. But you're right. A lot of the smaller towns had. We see Williamston and Stockbridge there. Lansing Journal, I should say. Here's the proceedings of the Board of Supervisors from that particular year. Here's a very nice view of a GAR envelope. This says inside is a GAR badge and roster from the Phil McCarran Post, 53. That was a nice treasure found in. And here, of course, we have the Masonic Lodge of 70 being shown to Mr. Kerr. And there are the artifacts that were taken out that day. We are going to be removing the artifacts, and these have to gain more humidity, and after they gain humidity and they are in good condition, we're going to have them scanned and hopefully put on our website at ingham.org. And we'll go under history, and you will be able to see and download these artifacts online. Okay. All right. Is there any questions? Anybody like to ask any questions? Or we pretty much?
What did you do with the artifacts then? Or what will you do with them?
The artifacts are going to go into our museum at the courthouse. We have a museum in the basement, and they're going to be viewable down there for the centennial. Yeah.
Did you say there was, that one of the earlier courthouses was still standing?
Yes, yes it is. We have recovered some of the wood from the museum, and we're going to be making souvenirs for the commissioners, the people that come and help us out.
Is it marked with a marker?
It is not. It is a residence. Quite often the buildings back then were so valuable that they had to have, here's the lights for me. They moved the courthouse in the wintertime down Jefferson, and it's a residence today. But it will be marked. I'm on the path to mark the town of Ingham, the town of, or this particular courthouse, the first courthouse, and where the original county buildings were located in Mason with our markers. Yes, ma'am.
Randy, do you have a copy of the reproduction of the Gale 1859 map that I abstracted all the names from? And I took all the
Yep.
names off, and then there were so many initials that we filled those in from the land records and from the tax rolls.
Yep, that, if you go to ingham.org and go to the history section, we have the 1859 Ingham section of that map in PDF format, so you can copy that off on your printers at home. So that's done, that's one of the items that we do.
You still have that wall map in the courthouse, do you not?
Yes, we do, yep.
The one the copy that's in the state archives has been damaged. Someone has cut out
Yeah,
certain townships.
yeah,
And when we reproduced that map,
yeah.
the Greater Lansing Historical Society and the Livingston Group
Yeah,
did that.
popped out, yeah.
And
That's a good question. That's a very valuable map, and it should be looked at. The indexing of it was a wonderful thing because there's so many names on it. Are there any other?
This is one flat map, not an atlas, it's one big.
It's huge.
wall
It's a wall
map.
map. It's 5-6 feet.
Is that the one that had the original picture of the Turner Dodge House?
yes,
Yeah.
the border of that map, which we had to sacrifice,
Uh-huh.
had to sacrifice our copy, the copy my husband bought, to have it printed. And on the periphery, the border of the map, there was the picture of this house
Yep.
as it appeared.
That's right, and along all the borders, there are towns, images from Livingston and Ingham County. And you may see where you live on, as one of those images around the edge. It cost quite a bit of money to have your house put on that now, if I remember right,
One
so.
of the interesting things that we found about those images of the buildings,
Mhm.
that they were actually in the shape of the building.
Oh,
This
uh-huh,
was true of when we researched Marshall, Michigan,
oh, uh-huh,
and it was true here. When you see the Turner Dodge house on that map,
yeah,
it is in the shape of the house as it appeared at that time.
oh, very interesting.
So they were
Yeah.
far more accurate
Oh,
than we would have
great
anticipated.
accuracy, that's right. Any more questions?
You did a beautiful job.
Well, thank you. Thanks for having me come out tonight, appreciate it.